Joining me now is our national security expert, geopolitical expert, David Pine, president of the EMP Task Force, emptaskforce.us, and his own Substack page is dpyne.substack.com. You'll have to excuse my voice. It's spring, allergies, trees are blooming. Sorry, folks in Wisconsin and Minnesota, but it is. Trees are in full bloom here. Allergy season, and the more I talk, the hoarser I get. And just when I think on a weekend my voice is recovered, I'm back at it for a full week, and it happens. So a little hoarse, but we'll get through it. Okay, David, there's so much news tonight we have to get to. Where to start, of course, is the issue. But let's go with what is being reported and confirmed, I guess, by some contractors. And that is Russia and China is reporting an emergency action message was sent to the U.S. military today, putting them on a higher alert status. What can you tell me about this?
Yeah, so this was reported by Jeffrey Nyquist, who's a colleague of mine on the committee for the present danger of China, and it was confirmed by another source, so it does seem genuine. But it's unclear what this emergency action message was for. But it seems to indicate that multiple, U.S. troops, perhaps multiple theaters, are being put on high alert status. So I would guess that's likely focused in the CENTCOM region because obviously things are really heating up. We had Hamas rocket attack on Tel Aviv in response to Israel's decision to break the ceasefire and to re-invade Gaza and reoccupy Gaza and of course, bombard Hamas positions. But it could be extended to the Indo-PACOM as well, where I believe that China is accelerating its preparations for a potential invasion of Taiwan. Perhaps taking advantage of the U.S. Preoccupation with the Middle Eastern theater.
Wow, we do have, I guess, this footage right here. Let's look at this. Another rocket attack coming into Israel. So things do seem to be heating up over there, no doubt about it. Our reporter from Israel, Aaron Lavarco, is on his way here to the U.S., and so I think he may be here. He should be able to start giving us updates a little bit later, as soon as he gets settled in. So again, I don't know where all this is going, but it does seem, David, to be heating up. If Israel and the United States under President Trump do go after Iran, I mean, what's that to look like, and what do you think the China and other allies of theirs do?
Well, there's been, the neocons have been agitating for U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities for probably 2 decades. I mean, I was in my 30s when they first started agitating for that. It was probably in, around 2006, when we were still bogged down in the Iraq War. So that would be one of the most likely targets, would be their nuclear facilities. Unfortunately, they have about 37 different nuclear facilities and missile sites for long-range nuclear-capable missiles. And they're underground. So they have IRBMs and MRBMs that are on mobile launchers, but the mobile launchers are under concrete silos. So it's kind of, they're almost like, our Minuteman III ICBMs are in concrete silos. They have mobile, medium range, intermediate range ballistic missiles in concrete silos. They also have hypersonic missiles, hypersonic cruise missiles that are deployed in Iran as well. These would be very difficult to destroy through conventional means alone. There's no way we could be sure of destroying them all unless we employed nuclear missile strikes, and I think the chances of that are pretty low.
Okay, let's go to this one. Reuters. Ukraine strikes Russian strategic bomber airfield targeting huge blast. Okay, this is the latest today, March 20th, 2025. I thought we had a ceasefire. I think things were going to calm down. We're going to get some kind of deal. You're smiling because that's not happening, is it, David?
No, it's not. I mean, it may be on the energy infrastructure front because despite a Russian and Ukrainian exchange a couple days ago against each other's infrastructure following the agreement by the U.S. and Russia on an energy infrastructure partial ceasefire contingent on Ukrainian acceptance, Zelensky actually did accept it yesterday. So we haven't seen any energy infrastructure attacks, but this is much more serious because here Ukraine is going after, Russia's nuclear triad, something they haven't done for some time. And it's, Russia's blackjack bombers are their most advanced and long range. So they're the equivalent of America's B-2 bombers. I mean, can you imagine if, Russian-backed forces from Canada or Mexico were bombarding our strategic bomber base in Missouri with, large combat drones? I think we might have a problem with that. So,
Whitman Air Force Base, right, in Missouri?
Whitman Air Force Base. So, I think the objective here for Zelensky, again, he's not doing hardly anything to really not doing anything to help Ukraine win the war. He's really trying to roll the dice and gamble that Russia will escalate in response with, some kind of large-scale military escalation that would ideally minimally just, break up the Trump-Russia peace initiative to end the war, stop all negotiations. But potentially what he's really hoping for is to embroil the U.S. and our NATO allies into World War III with Russia, which really is Ukraine's only potential hope to regain its lost territory since it's been unsuccessful in doing so on the battlefield.
The Reuters article has a very interesting note here. I think it's very important. Ukraine struck a major Russian strategic bomber airfield on Thursday with drones triggering a huge blast and fire. Now listen, folks, about 435 miles from the front lines of the war, Russian and Ukrainian officials said. So this isn't on the front lines. They're going 435 miles in, which again is very provocative, and that's not what that does not seem like the kind of behavior of someone wanting to de-escalate. Obviously, if you're going 435 miles in, correct?
That's right. Zelensky has no intention of accepting a ceasefire or ending the war or agreeing to, he's been very adamant that he will not accept Trump's peace terms. He's offered zero concessions. This is after 2 months of diplomacy that Zelensky hasn't offered a single concession. He's demanding that Russian troops leave all of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea, that Russia provide $300 billion in reparations payments, that 200,000 NATO peacekeepers be allowed to reinforce Ukraine's border with Russia, and that Putin himself surrendered at the War Crimes Tribunal at the International Criminal Court at The Hague, in prison and potentially executed. So, we talk about maximalist demands here, and we hear the neocons constantly stating that, Russia is the one with maximalist demands. Currently, they're only demanding 5 of Ukraine's 24 oblasts, although it seems that might change because it was reported today by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis on his, deep dive show that Russia stated that if these peace talks fail with between Trump and Putin, that their plan is to go after an additional 4 Ukrainian oblasts that border on the ones they already control, including Odessa, which would essentially extend their border all the way to the Dnipro River in some areas, and would also make Ukraine a landlocked country by ceding to Russia control of Odessa Oblast and Mykolaiv.
Okay, so let me make sure I got all this straight here. That was a lot of great information there, David. I want to bring up a graphic that you sent me right here. Here we go. The Kremlin continues to demand that Ukrainians cede Ukrainian territory that Russia does not currently occupy, and to set conditions to make further territorial demands. Go through this.
Yeah. So this is Dmitry Petrov is the Russian foreign ministry spokesman, and he said that the territory of what Russians refer to as Novorossiya is is an integral part of Russia, and that would include not just the 4 oblasts that the Russians currently have annexed in addition to Crimea, but it would also include the 4 adjacent oblasts, which are located to the west and the north of all the way to the Dnipro River. So this is a huge chunk of Ukraine. By my estimation, it would equate to about 37%, perhaps even more, of Ukraine's territory, which is basically double the amount of Ukrainian territory they currently control.
Okay. And I've got another map I want to bring up that you've sent me. Here we go. Doing all this stuff in real time, folks, because it's moving quick. Okay, here's the next map. Okay. This is the Russian foreign minister says the red region is an integral part of Russia. That's what you were just talking about. There's the map, right?
Yep, that's right. So the light red is the regions that they currently control. And I think it's actually along their constitutional borders, so it'd be a little bit more than they currently control. But then the dark red is the additional area they'd be claiming. Currently, the only control part of very small areas of Kharkiv and also very small areas of Mykolaiv, but they don't have any control over Dnipropetrovsk. I think it might be mispronouncing that one, and it's also Odessa Oblast. So. 2 oblasts that they don't even control, and then the vast majority of 2 others that they barely control at this point.
Okay, so we got a lot of things we're not agreeing on when it comes to these two sides. They've agreed not to touch each other's energy infrastructure, apparently, but now you've got Zelensky striking 435 miles into Russia from the front lines. And hitting one of their bomber sites, so part of their nuclear triad, as you said. We've got Russia, their foreign minister, claiming that the red regions that we just showed in that map is an integral part of Russia. But Zelensky's going to say, no, that's part of Ukraine, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he won't even cede. Sevastopol, the port that Russia's controlled, since the collapse of the Soviet Union. There's zero compromise to Russia in terms of territory. And, the ridiculous thing is Ukraine sacrificed, about 90,000 troops trying to retake any Ukrainian territory in 2023 during their summer-fall offensive. And it ended in basically in no success at all. Russians took far more territory during that same period of the offensive that the Ukrainians did, and most of I think almost all of the territory that Ukraine was able to take at great cost has already been recovered by Russia. So the idea that Ukraine is trying to dictate terms, I've kind of the analogy I've made is that after the Battle of the Bulge in January 1945, and the Germans were pushed back to the Rhine in the west and almost to the Oder River in the east. Hitler would be trying to say, okay, you got to give up all German territory and back to our 1939 or even 1941 borders, where they had expanded Germany by about 30+% beyond its 1937 borders. So. It's just really ridiculous. It's pie in the sky. Trump shouldn't even listen to Zelensky. He shouldn't pick up the phone. He shouldn't call him. He should designate, Kellogg to be the spokesman there and not allow Ukraine to meet with anyone else until the peace deal with Russia has been negotiated. And then, of course, we would entertain any minor amendments that Zelensky has and take those back to Russia. But essentially, if they were to reject the main terms agreed to by the U.S. and Russia, we would want to cut off Starlink access to force them to agree. Otherwise, Trump has stated that the U.S. will basically leave Ukraine, pull all its troops and support from Ukraine, and let them battle out against Russia alone, and that will invariably end in Ukraine's military collapse and the Russian takeover of probably all of those regions that Peskov and the Russian Foreign Ministry are now claiming as an integral part of Russia.
All right, so David, what do you see coming? If you had to guess, and I'm not going to hold you to it, but how is this going to flesh out? I mean, these two sides don't see that 30. We're near agreeing to any kind of deal. And of course, I guess President Trump is trying to I think you and Colonel Manus talked about this on a show, but I think President Trump is trying to kind of break up the Russia China relationship, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there is a strategic, imperative in this peace deal, and I believe that Vivek Ramaswamy briefed President Trump during the campaign on Vivek's and my joint plan to break up the Sino-Russian alliance with using a peace deal, and it's a lot of those same terms are what Russia's looking for as well. I mean, they've guaranteed to China that nothing can break up their alliance, but the fact is, if we're on good terms with Russia, then there's really a 0% or a very minimal chance that Russia would join a war with China against the U.S. and China would know that. So if China's war planning in terms of a war with the U.S. has involved Russia as an integral partner. They've engaged in joint military exercises to mock invasions of the Hawaiian Islands, for example. Just a couple of years ago, and various things like that, planning on who's going to occupy or invade which part of the U.S., splitting Japan between them, kind of a north-south Japan situation, and various other aggressive moves. And without Russia in the mix, China would have to do all that on their own, which I think they're capable of doing. But it would introduce an element of uncertainty on their end that would, could complicate their war planning for, a war with the United States.
All right. So if you had to guess, where's this all going, David? Where's all this headed?
Well, I really think the ball is in the U.S. court. We heard from Rubio and all the EU Politburo leaders that hate us that the ball is in Russia's court. Well, after the Trump-Russia phone call, I think it's really in America's court. And the reason I say that is, Putin's, he's really gone as far as he can go in terms of Russia's national interests in trying to make concessions to Trump on the ceasefire issue. But, the ceasefire issue is really, it's a moot issue. It's really not important. I think the Trump administration is making a big mistake in trying to focus on that because, Russia's essentially told us how we get to a ceasefire, and it's basically we agree on basically the Russia's 4 top points, which are we would say that basically make a joint announcement that we've agreed on the basis for a peace framework, and that would be Ukraine restoration of Ukrainian neutrality outside of NATO. So all NATO troops would pull out, all NATO ties with Ukraine would end. Would be the partial demilitarization of the Ukrainian military, including large-scale reductions in the size and capabilities of Ukrainian strike systems, and that would include, of course, combat drones and missiles, both ballistic and cruise missiles. So the range wouldn't be 700 kilometers, as in the case of this attack. The maximum range would be 40 kilometers. And then it would be probably, the post-war border would be the line of control between Russia and Ukraine currently, or some approximation of that, perhaps involving territorial exchanges that are mutually acceptable to the U.S. and Russia. And then finally, no NATO peacekeepers. That any military observers or peacekeepers would have to come from non-European countries that would be considered neutral, perhaps, as I've proposed, non-aligned movement countries led by India, to ensure that neither side commits violations of the border in terms of new aggressions or attempts to recover lost territory on the Ukrainian side either.
So the bottom line is, we don't know where this is headed. We could very easily walk ourselves right into World War III. And if everybody thought the election of Donald Trump was going to put the world back in order, they weren't listening to this show, because we warned them that there could be a lot of things that the globalists do, that others do. And of course, we have to be concerned that China, Iran, North Korea, others are working in concert to create trouble at the same time and spread our military thin across too many theaters. This, again, is, people can do what they want. But, a lot of people were prepping and ordering freeze-dried food and everything under Biden. And then a lot of people just kind of thought, hey, Trump's back, nothing to worry about. People had better understand the seriousness of the situation and not just assume because Trump's in the White House, there's nothing bad that can befall America. Closing comment?
Yeah, I mean, there's a clear path for Trump to avoid war with Russia and China and Iran. And we've articulated on the show previously with regards to Russia, you accept those main terms. You get to an immediate ceasefire. You finalize the peace agreement. We kind of renegotiate a mutual security agreement with Russia, whereby we withdraw all our troops from Eastern Europe. They pull out some nukes out of the border regions of NATO. With China, it's that we agree that we publicly state that we will not defend Taiwan militarily. And we will support immediate peace or peaceful unification talks between China and Taiwan. That would completely diffuse the current crisis where they're poised to invade Taiwan on a dime, with very little notice, perhaps days, if not less. And then, of course, with Iran, we just need to get back on track with the three-phase ceasefire agreement, which was mutually acceptable to both sides. So Trump, again, the ball's in Trump's court. He has the power to make peace and give us absolute security. But the question is, will he be advised by his Nikon advisors to do the opposite, and thereby, put us at an existential risk of destruction with the outbreak of World War III on multi-fronts.
Wow. All right, David, as always, we sure appreciate your analysis. You kind of become a regular here, but you're one of the few guys that we can turn to, I think, for news and analysis on this that are not in the the can, if you will, for a certain outcome. Or a certain projection here. You're just telling it like it is, and that's why we come to you. So thank you for doing that, and I guess we'll probably see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you. dpyne.substack.com, folks. dpyne, dpyne.substack.com. You should also follow him on his X account because he's putting out lots of information very fast on his X account. Let me go there for you and blow it up there for you so you can see it. There it is. At America First Con, at America First Con, if you'd like to follow David on X. He's pretty active on X, and of course, you see his Substack right there as well. Very active. Things are moving very quickly. I talked to Leo Holman earlier this morning, senior executive producer of the Worldview Report, and we were just bemoaning how fast things are moving. They are moving so quickly, my friends. And you notice a lot of times I'm not staying in my normal 90-minute time slot. I can do that. That's one of the beauties of owning the network and running the network and operating the network. But we deliberately don't have a show behind me other than my own show. That's the replay of Worldview Radio, because I said, Logan, I don't want anyone behind me. I don't want it to get off the air in 90 minutes because there's so much happening as it gets worse and worse. I may not be on the air with Brandon House Live for 90 minutes. I may be on the air for 2 hours, 2.5 hours regularly. And you guys know that has actually been the case, because things are moving so fast. But follow David on X and keep up with it all. Now, folks, there you go. We just did a long format interview, another long format interview without interruption. Please go right now, worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. This is the Swish for Life. This is the glutathione. You swish with it for about 3 minutes and swallow it or spit it out. I told you last week, Melissa is prone, or maybe it was this week, she's prone to sinus infections 2 or 3 times a year. A lot of times she has to get on an antibiotic. Well, her eye was swollen underneath the other day. She started doing what Dr. Lana says, swish on the hour, every hour. She did that about 10 times in one day, and the next day the swelling was down. And she was able to knock out her sinus infection by simply using Numi, which is loaded with glutathione. And that glutathione detoxes your cells, all right? Studies show it also may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. The three things I do every day, you guys know, are Bella Grace, and I need to get Bella Grace up here because I've taken all of them. Bella Grace, Numi, and my Gatatana. Those are three things I do every day. Swishforlife.com. Get a subscription, folks, so you don't have to worry about forgetting and not having enough on hand. You know I do the Gatatana. That is loaded with 90 billion plant cells, one scoop. Half a scoop goes on Dolly's food every day. I get one scoop in water. And then there's 5 clinical trials on it, okay? This is loaded with protein, amino acids, all kinds of things you need. There's the cat that had the tumor inside, got on the Gatatana and is gone. I give it to Dolly because I'm trying to have a lab that actually will live more than 10 years and not get cancer. So I wanted to get lots of things loaded with those trace minerals and antioxidants. So I take it, she takes it. This is legit. Again, get a subscription and don't miss out. Get a subscription, okay? This is what we do, folks. Melissa and I, we take Gatatana, we do our Numi, we take our Bella Grace elixir every day. So do that, will you? And then, of course, the Bella Grace itself. There it is. Now, Melissa doesn't only take the Bella Grace, the elixir, which I do every day, she does every day. She loves the skincare, absolutely loves the skincare product. Now, Logan is on the Bella Trim along with Melissa. And of course, the beautiful thing about the Bella Trim is it not only curbs your appetite, cuts down on your desire for the munchies, it also is said to regulate your blood glucose levels, optimize your insulin, lowers your bad cholesterol, raises your good cholesterol, helps normalize your blood pressure, overall good cardiac health. It helps improves your prebiotics, lowers inflammation. So again, a lot of great things about the Bella Trim in addition to the weight loss, okay? The sleep, the restorative sleep. She uses 2 of these a night, Melissa does, because that helps her stay asleep. Her problem isn't getting asleep, it's when she gets awakened and then she can't get back to sleep. So she loves that. That's also all natural. So again, you can check all this out. And of course, we have the Bella Grace elixir, but this one is empty because I have taken it. All right. So check all this out. MelissaHouseBG.com. MelissaHouseBG.com. Don't forget about all the other sponsors over there. You know, with all that's going on in the world, I would definitely, if I were you guys, be seriously considering the satellite phone like I have. Get a free satellite phone with a subscription. You can also use that 866-738-3224 number. The satellite or the solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400. I highly recommend these. They have a variety of them. Some, if you just want to run a few appliances, if you want to run a lot of things in your house, they have them. They have the solar generators. But I would urge you to call. Use that number. Ask questions. I don't think you want to buy a solar generator until you talk to one of their representatives so you get the right thing, right? You want to get what you need. So you're going to, I think, call. I highly recommend you call on that. I don't think you have to call to get a satellite phone. You could probably just order that right up at worldviewtalk.com. But you should call to get the solar generator. 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. They have the bivvies, which those allow you to text through your cell phone. The cell towers are down. You're still texting through your cell phone, through the bivvy, to a satellite, down to your family member that has a bivvy. Check all that out. Of course, the Faraday bags to protect these things. You can get the blankets like I have here. If you're going to work with a laptop, cover your lap so you're not just zapping yourself with electromagnetic force. They have the bigger blanket you can cover your bed with. If some of you are sensitive to all the EMF and 5G and all that, you can actually cover your bed with it, protect your body, get your body a little bit of rest. So again, you can check all that out at worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. All right.